Hi. Hi. Hello. Hi. Hi. Why is this always the hardest part? Hi. Today I want to talk about a literary movement that was born in the Victorian era, the mystery genre. As we all know, most mysteries follow the same basic pattern. A crime occurs, usually a murder, someone is obviously responsible, and someone else takes on the challenge of figuring out the puzzling crime and finding the culprit. But where did this genre come from? Considering the long history of storytelling, the mystery is actually a fairly new genre. It's less than 200 years old. This genre is also known as detective fiction or crime fiction, but they're all the same, a story in which a detective of sorts investigates and solves a crime mystery. While some mysteries focus on puzzle solving and suspense, others focus on action and the dark underworlds of our society. The mystery genre originated in the Victorian era, which started around the 1830s. It wasn't until this time that true police forces were needed. Before that, most people lived in small towns where they only had a few constables. But after the Industrial Revolution, cities grew much larger as more and more people sought after jobs in factories. These people worked long hours for little pay and oftentimes lived in terrible conditions. This created a lot of overcrowding in the small city tenements as there were higher demand for cheap places to live. The result of this overcrowding and at times desperate living conditions caused an increase in crime rates. Therefore, more polices and detectives were needed to uphold the law. It's not much of a surprise that this was reflected in the literature of this time. People were unhappy with the way the police forces were functioning, or rather lack thereof during this period, which is why they responded so enthusiastically about this new genre where crime solvers often undermined the police's abilities. They liked the idea that there was somebody out there who was bringing justice to those who committed crimes, which unfortunately wasn't something the authorities seemed very good at doing. Another reason why this genre became so popular during the Victorian era was because books suddenly became a lot more accessible. Printing was much cheaper and literacy levels were higher than ever. This was due to the fact that there was now a middle class. Most of these people were not only educated, but they also had a lot more leisure time to do things like read. Because of the quicker printing technology, many mystery novels were printed as well as short tales in magazines, which was a particularly popular way of getting stories during this time. The first story to really be defined as a mystery novel was written by Edgar Allan Poe in 1841. His book The Murders in Rue Morgue is about a brilliant detective named Auguste Dupin who solves a seemingly baffling crime. Spoiler alert, in the end, the sleuth is able to catch the culprit while police, surprise surprise, remain rather unsuccessful on this front. This first novel also includes one of the most famous mystery conventions, known as the locked room. The premise behind this idea, of course, is that a murder victim is found inside a supposedly locked room, leaving the detective having to try and figure out how the murderer committed the crime. Next came Charles Dickens, who also contributed to the rise of this genre, including in his stories many of the same elements of mystery and suspense. In 1870, he even began to write a mystery himself called The Mystery of Edwin Drood, but unfortunately he died before he was ever able to write the solution to this novel. Wilkie Collins was another great contributor to this genre in its early stages. He wrote many short stories and novels in the mystery category, including The Woman in White and The Moonstone. He also wrote an essay entitled The Unknown Public, commenting on the changes taking place in society and how they were affecting the popular literature of the time. He knew that the public wanted to read books that reflected the changes around them. And Catherine Green wrote The Leavenworth Case in 1876, becoming the first woman to write a mystery novel. Unfortunately, because of her gender, she wasn't very well received during her time, although she did influence many future writers from the 1920s. Then of course we have Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, who wrote his first mystery novel called A Study in Scarlet in 1887, introducing the world to the great detective Sherlock Holmes and his sidekick, Dr. John Watson. Doyle added a new twist to the mystery novel by creating such a unique and intelligent character. It was also the first time that readers had seen a team appear in a mystery. These two characters worked so well together because of their ability to bring out the best in each other. While Sherlock is extremely intelligent and his ability to solve crimes is remarkable, without his friend Dr. John Watson there to humanize Holmes and relay the story to the readers in such a way that we can understand and relate to it, the duo would not be nearly as effective. Sherlock may in fact be the most well-recognized detective of all time, but I truly think that what may be the most important legacy left behind by Doyle in these books was this amazing duo that Holmes and Watson were together. This union led future writers to create similar duos made up of two seemingly opposite characters who work together in harmony to solve crimes. Nowadays, it's almost rare to read a mystery novel or watch a mystery show without this kind of dynamic. Then came the golden age of mystery fiction, the 1920s. One of the most famous and influential mystery novelists of this time was Agatha Christie. Over her career, she wrote more than 80 mystery novels and is quite possibly the most well-known mystery writer of all time. She wrote about many different detectives, all with unique quirks of their own. Of course, there were also mystery novels for children that became very popular in the 1930s. These included series such as The Hardy Boys, Encyclopedia Brown, and my personal favorite, Nancy Drew. Today, mysteries remain just as popular as they ever were, and there are no signs of that changing anytime soon. This is most likely due to the fact that our society still feels the pressure and anxieties of crime around us every day. We constantly hear stories in the news that make us reflect on whether or not the police and other authoritative figures are doing their jobs. It just goes to show that, just like the people of the Victorian era, we can relate to the mystery genre. And unless the crime rate plummets anytime soon, I have a feeling the mystery genre is going to be around for a while. So with that in mind, pick up a mystery novel. With summer coming just around the corner, now is the perfect time to get lost in the twists and turns of a good crime. Bye!